Okay, so now we're going to take a few moments to go over our discussion board instructions and look at how you're going to be graded, and really to make sure we all understand just the point of this exercise and what is going to be important for you to do if you're going to get full credit. Now, it's very easy to confuse a discussion board with something informal, but the important thing to remember here is that this is a very formal assignment, which is a big part of your grade. So let's take a look through these reasons first why we do a discussion board to begin with. And really, these discussion boards help us accomplish two major things. The first of which is to replace the discussion that we would have within the classroom if we were in a face-to-face environment that met every week and we were sitting in front of one another. Now, I know that some courses are simply all lecture and the dispensing of information, but really often effective classes really involve a lot of discussion from the students as well, with the idea that they're bringing to the table that which they read, that which they've studied, and helping us have a better learning experience altogether. So again, we're replacing that discussion we've had in class, and at the same time, for me, your instructor, I am going to assess your competency in the course readings, assessing that you did the readings and that you really did get out of it that which I had hoped you had done so if you had read it properly. Now, here's what discussion boards are not. This is not a place to give an opinion that you've had before you came into class. If you were going to simply log in and give an opinion off the top of your head, something that you did no research ahead of time, or perhaps within the construction of it, then you are not meeting our goals here. Okay? It's very easy to have opinions off the top of our head that are uninformed. The goal here is to be very informed and crafting an important response. Now, these are not a last-minute busy work task. Okay? Now, there's a deadline each week. Usually it's going to be at 6:59 p.m. or 11:59 p.m. depending on the course. So please check your due dates and due times. But no matter whether it's 6:59, 11:59, 5 p.m., there seems to be a common theme with lots of assignments. People submit them within the last hour that it is due. Right? This is not going to work if you wait until the very end, and you're going to be assessed accordingly. Next, it's important to remember that these are not necessarily easy assignments. Now, I'm sure some will come more naturally to you than others, but the goal of these is, this is important work of the class. If you're not just logging on and very easily and haphazardly throwing around some opinions. So this is not easy. And I also want to caution that you do not treat this as if it's an informal assignment. You know, greetings to other people like, hey, yo. We want to make sure that this is formally written, okay? So it's important that we know the difference. The goals of these and what discussion boards are, these are a way of assessing student learning, as I said before, assessing that you've done the readings and grading you accordingly. This is a platform to demonstrate mastery of material. You know, this is a way for you, the student, to show me that you have a good understanding of that which we are working on. These are meant to be well planned and carefully crafted, all right? These are meant to be challenging. These are a formal assignment. And really, these are class time, right? When you consider the amount of time that we're supposed to be in the classroom in a week, this helps us do that, all right? And I will say, for accrediting bodies that give colleges the permission to offer academic credit, they are pretty strict on the number of hours, whether it's the number of hours we meet on campus or the number of hours we work online. Now, you're going to be assessed in 5 different areas, okay, for 50 points total. The first is content knowledge, that you have a good understanding of this course content. Second, the assignment submission, and that includes getting it done promptly so that students can properly respond. Third, length. All right, we have to set some standards to make sure that you do have enough substance to your response. Peer responsiveness. your conversation with your peers in your class, and finally a tool to assess written communication, which is an important learning objective of this course. Now the posted grading rubric, which you can view, I did put it in the syllabus folder for you to look at. This is designed to help you craft your response. Now when I grade the response as your instructor, I'm simply going to go through the boxes and check off the one that best describes your work. One way that a student can make sure they get the best possible grade and the most possible credit is to hold the same standard. Compare your own work up against your own list of, the list I provide you with the rubric, and say, okay, I can check off this box, this box, this box. When you do that comparison, you personally should notice some things that might not meet the standards, and if they don't meet the standards, then it's your opportunity to fix it before you submit it. Again, we do have a copy of the rubric within the course page. Now the first area on the rubric is content knowledge. And now take a look at the excellent form of this rubric, the top level of achievement that says, discussion postings display an excellent understanding of required readings and underlying concepts. Postings integrate an outside resource to relevant research to support posts, and sources are cited. All right, so you're studying the material that you're assigned to read, and even beyond that, you can find supplemental resources to take part of that. And as you get to proficient, yes, you show it, you used correct terminology, but maybe you haven't gone as far as looking at an outside source. So it's good, but maybe there's an opportunity to be better. And when you get down to competence, that's the level of a C perhaps. They repeat and summarize the basic information, but they don't really consider any type of research or outside perspective or make connections. And a novice or a poor one simply shows no evidence that the readings were completed. All right, every once in a while somebody will skip the readings and try to present this, and there's a clear message being sent by the post that the student didn't read it. So how equipped are you to respond to the post? That's the idea here. And the one who's read, the one who's studied, shows evidence and can go forward. All right, this is not giving a response based upon prior knowledge or your prior understanding. All right, this is all about what you do going forward. Second, assignment submission. The best assignment will allow 5 days for your classmates to give feedback. That means if the post is ultimately due on Monday and we subtract 5 days, that means we're going to have it done by Wednesday. All right? So these modules open and close, but you should have the week's module available to you really before the other one closes. I am pretty good at getting them open, but we want to make sure there's enough time for discussion. If you wait until the last minute to post your primary post, there is not going to be an opportunity for anybody to respond to it. And it really is not a matter of you personally taking part in a discussion either. So you give them the amount of time for your initial post, and then you can log back in the rest of the week to do the rest of it. So, at least 3 days notice, I'll consider that competent and 8 points. But 10 points is to give 5 points. So that means you're scheduling your schedule accordingly, and then you're doing the reading for the course in advance of the week. All right, so it's just kind of like when coming to class for the week, you're going to do the reading ahead of time. So that's your way to do particularly well, and you have a syllabus which kind of lays out the readings. And sometimes I provide them for you, and they're simple enough to go with it. Students have all 7 days to post, but yes, those readings are well in advance. Plan accordingly, and remember, last minute really doesn't help anybody. Now, assignment length. All right, this is an important one too. I'm looking for 2 well-developed paragraphs that meet college writing standards. Now, I've heard people say, "Oh, a paragraph could be 3 sentences." Well, not maybe in an academic collegiate writing setting. 5, preferably more than that. Probably at least 7. That you quote or cite something else in the middle. And remember, if you think back to when you learned paragraph construction, there's one major topic idea per paragraph. So that means your response is going to have 2 primary points that you're going to share with your classmates. So you plan this properly. You can say, all right, I'm going to talk about A, I'm going to talk about B, and then you craft your response accordingly. Now, one thing that people do to fill up space is not just a number of sentences, all right? It's making your sentences count. Now, I've seen people give responses like, well, there are many approaches from many people in regards to. A sentence like that says absolutely nothing. All right, we want to be firm with your response, be clear with your response, and make sure that there actually is substance to it. It's very easy to put words on a page, but making them count matters. And if you're really, really stuck, what you might want to do to help make it a little bit better is to dig into your assigned readings, find something to quote to really help drive your discussion, or find an outside source that can help drive your discussion. And in this world where there's many areas where you could find fake news, make sure you're citing a legitimate source when you do so. I highly recommend it, and I'll recommend to you this throughout the course, the Purdue OWL, as it's called. It's the online writing lab. There were some tips on how to construct a paragraph if you need to do that. It's really a great resource for you to just bookmark and go back to with all types of writing and citing sources and writing papers. Highly recommend that you check that out. Peer responsiveness. Okay, this is a discussion. We're not treating essays. So if you put a really good post together and you post it and you think, oh, this is a great post, well, that may be true, but this is a discussion. All right, so we're not just posting our best essay and letting other people read it. So follow-up posts are just as important as your initial post. They are intended to keep the discussion of content going. Now, the biggest problem I see with peer responsiveness is simply equates to a Facebook like. The student will reply, "Oh, Sally, I liked your post," or "Sally, good job," or "Sally, I agree," and then they go on to basically repeat what that student put. Liking, agreeing, saying good job, that does not constitute discussion. All right, in a classroom when we're talking about a topic, you're not going to basically interject to the class, "Oh, good job." Doesn't happen, right? So we want to make sure that this discussion is focused and there is some real substance behind that. So there's Dr. Zorik's Facebook post, right? I can click that like button all day, or any of those emoticons. I can say I like it, I heart it, I laugh at it, or wow, what's the other one, or sad, angry. I can click that very, very easily, but we don't want to do exactly the same thing with our words. Right? I say Dr. Zorik has the most Facebook friends of any professor, I think. Finally, written communication. This one's pretty simple. So we're having an important discussion, and the mode of doing that is going to be online. So we need you to express what you're saying in clear, standard English that all may understand. Okay, so college level writing counts. So what we're going to need from you is to proofread your posts very, very carefully. If you need to, all right, we have the Writing Center available, right? That's on the syllabus. You have the ability to go to the Writing Center for them to proofread your work, okay? Discussion board posts are indeed part of the formal writing process, so they'd be happy to help you with your posts. And I think of it this way, you could have the best idea in the world, but if it's said in a way that is filled with errors, people aren't going to necessarily respect it or necessarily find it very formal. Think of somebody wearing a really nice tuxedo, and if they come in with beat up, dirty sneakers or as their shoes, isn't that going to kill the whole appearance? All right, so keep that in mind. We don't want to ruin what could be a good post with grammatical errors, especially the ones that you could easily pick while proofreading. Now, to how to post, it's pretty simple. I think a lot of you have done this before, but if you haven't, when you click on the discussion board there, you'll have the option to create thread, and that's where you write your post. Please do not post a file. All right, we want to write directly onto the board. If you post a file, some people in the class aren't going to have the same technology, and we don't want them to be kept from reading your response because they don't have the same software. So please write directly onto the message board. And when you're reading somebody's post, and I sort of blotted this one out because I respect the privacy of the student, you click the reply button though, and that's how you can craft your response to your classmates. Okay, so pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And just a couple if online courses require that students are putting in the same amount of time as if they were in the classroom. It's very important to remember, if you're taking a world religions class online or search your meaning class online or sports and spirituality online versus the classroom of those that are in my face-to-face world religions and face-to-face sports and spirituality, I see them essentially for 3 hours a week in class. Beyond that, the state of Pennsylvania believes that we should be doing 6 hours of homework beyond that. So now you have to do the homework and you need to do the class time. So please block that time off. Now, the advantage is you can do this course wherever you want and in your pajamas, but make sure you are putting the time aside. I thank you for taking the time to listen, and best of luck to you in this class.